In the previous episode, we explored the town of Ouray, then started our journey to Telluride via Black Bear Pass Road, where we spotted a lot of wildlife. In this episode, we'll attempt to earn the Jeep's second badge of honor by successfully navigating the notoriously dangerous steps of Black Bear Pass. We'll explore the town of Telluride and ride the gondolas up to Mountain Village. We headed towards the part of the road known as the Steps, where the road appears to simply go straight off the cliff. There were a few sections of the road on the way to the steps that required getting out to formulate a plan. Here I am, explaining my expert opinion. We reached the steps, which is the most dangerous part of the entire trip, about the same time that I grew concerned with the weather. The clouds had been building for the last hour, so there was some anxiety setting in about getting past this section before the road became wet, which surely would increase my odds of slipping off the road. The road is one way at this point, so turning around is not allowed. I parked the Jeep, got out, and walked all the way down to where you see the motorcycle rider currently attempting to make it around the corner without falling off the cliff. After looking at it for a minute or two, I had convinced myself that it wasn't as scary as it looks and committed to continue. Here's a look at it from the opposite direction. I'll draw a line and zoom in a bit so that you can see the path that I need to follow. The arrow marks my current location. Making a mistake coming down this trail could end up like this. The occupants were thrown from the vehicle prior to this video clip. All survived. The weather was getting worse by the minute. I could see heavy rain coming our direction from behind. Just as I was about to get back in the Jeep and go, a group of 3 people arrived and drove past us. 2 of them were on adventure bikes, while the other person appeared to be their tour guide in a Tacoma. This section of the trail is very sketchy on a motorcycle, and the driver of the first motorcycle had to lay his bike down to avoid falling off the trail, damaging a coolant line in the process. The coolant line immediately began to lose pressure, and the other 2 people helped him get the bike upright and struggle around the corner. Unfortunately, this delayed our progress by around 15 minutes while thunder grew closer and a few drops of rain began to fall. The motorcycle you saw down there was the third of the group. The other motorcycle and the Tacoma had already gone around the corner. The 3 vehicles that were ahead of us stopped on the flat section below, beginning to assess the damage to the bike. From behind, the storm suddenly caught up to us. The clouds moved in over the pass. In episode 4, I mentioned that even more waterfalls appear when it rains. rain and hail were heavy, and water came streaming down the mountain in every conceivable place. Rocks began falling onto the road, and where there were new waterfalls, rock slides began to form as a result. We survived Black Bear Pass, unlocking a new badge, and arrived safely in Telluride. We had driven through the town towards the campgrounds to see if they had any availability for the night, but considering the heavy rain and our intention to explore the town, we decided that we would get a hotel for the night instead, so we quickly booked the Victorian Inn and headed towards it. Notice the tower in the rectangle to the right. Here's a historical photo from the winter of 1895 for comparison. In 1887, the city of Telluride incorporated, and in 1890, the railroad arrived. 90% of Telluride residents worked in the mines, and business was good until 1893, when the silver crisis nearly resulted in Telluride becoming a ghost town. More gold was found in the 1890s, and the demand for lead and zinc during World War I caused another boom for the city. Here are some firefighters from 1892, referred to as the Hose Team. As usual, here's a historical photograph at the most comparable angle that I could find. Telluride has produced over 3 million ounces of gold during its history, but in 1970, the mining waned, and Telluride became one of the most desirable ski towns in the country. We got checked in at the hotel and went out to explore the town and ride the gondolas. The town of Mountain Village sits just above Telluride. The towns are linked by a gondola system. It's the only free public transportation in the United States that uses a gondola. The town of Mountain Village is very upscale, and this is where all the ski slopes are. In the summer, a series of mountain bike trails are available for all skill levels. You put your bike on the gondola and take the 11-minute ride up to Mountain Village, then ride your mountain bike back down to Telluride. There are kids that do this all day long in an infinite loop. And away we went on the gondola. Apparently, driving down the side of a cliff in a hailstorm is not nearly as terrifying as riding the gondola.
Oh, I hate that. I hate that sound.
Yeah, can I get away from the door? Thanks. Once we were in Mountain Village, we went and grabbed some pizza where I found that I had a text from Scott concerning MySQL replication. You can imagine how little I must have been thinking about work at the time. After pizza, we walked over to the chateau that was hosting a champagne toast, while a bugler and his dog put on a demonstration. The next morning, we grabbed a light breakfast from the hotel and walked to the town. It was raining off and on, but we went for a hike anyway on the Bridal Veil Falls trail, where we saw the lower falls before heading back into town to eat some pizza at the famous Brown Dog Pizza. We drove to several campgrounds where we were lucky enough to find an available site for the night. Sunshine Campground was well kept, and we enjoyed our stay. It rained most of the night, but again, the tent worked well. We had to put it away a bit wet, but that's no big deal so long as you get it back open within a day or two. Let's take a look at the beautiful town of Telluride from above. Here's the mighty Bridal Veil Falls. It's the tallest free-falling waterfall in Colorado at 365 feet. Atop the falls sits a historical hydroelectric power plant built in 1907 to power the Smuggler Union Mine. In the next episode, we head through Savage Basin and up and over the visually stunning Imogene Pass, which is the highest pass of the trip. Bye for now.